Hi, I'm David Marsh, and welcome to Exploring the Human Journey.
Exploring the Human Journey.
Today, my special guest is Lyman. Recently, I had a chance to spend some time with him, and I'd like you to hear this incredible story.
As a child, I was born and raised into a very strong and strategic Lutheran background, religious. And I found out early in my life that religion and belief system, BS and BS is BS. So I read the Bible. I read the Bible 3 times, actually until I was 10 years old. I went through that Bible and I tried to find out what fit for me. And I was like, okay, I'm going to tell my theory to my minister. So I start talking to him about it, and he shakes his head, and then he got that glazed over look, and he goes away. Didn't buy it. Didn't buy any of that I was saying. Didn't believe me. Thought for some reason I was cuckoo, right? He finally had a meeting at our house. He came over, told my mom, he's like, you know what? Your son needs to be in a different direction. He needs to learn what we are about, what religion really is. And my mother told him, says he reads the Bible all the time. He's always into this. He really does. He can go one-on-one with you. He can quote scriptures. He needs to be a minister. I need to be a minister. How interesting is that? That would be great. I could say my own things. I could do my own stuff and everything else. I can minister to people. I can be a servant. I got really excited about this. So as I'm getting older and everything else, this is what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a minister. My first theology class that I took, I didn't want to be a minister anymore. I asked the instructor questions up there that he never heard before and asked me to leave the school. Oh, Rod's not going to be a minister anymore, I guess. So my purpose was not even fulfilled, and that I didn't know what I wanted to do. I've done so many things in my life and that it's unbelievable. I tried everything until I got into spirituality. Spirituality saved me. I went into all these different places and got all these different gurus, and I asked them all these questions and everything else. Guess what? They would answer my questions. They had an answer for every question I had. And they said, Rod, that's really important. Yes, I never thought of it this aspect. Yes, this is really great. I was like, okay, that's the difference between religion and spirituality, is that I get my questions answered. I know what means what now. And I realized as I built the spiritual facility that I was the minister of it. I was the pastor of this beautiful place. I've trained over 1,000 Reiki masters. What a beautiful journey this has been. I'm not a minister in the belief system aspect, but I'm a minister of my own spirituality. I get to do what I wanted to do when I was 12 years old, saying I'm going to be a minister. And that's what I am, a minister.
Awesome, Rod. Thank you so much for being part of the project. The title we have on there is Medical Intuitive. Tell me about what it is to be a medical intuitive.
I really don't know myself what a medical intuitive is.
Awesome.
I was basically told that from when I started doing this jet work that you're a medical intuitive. And I know what I do, but what is a medical intuitive? How I do it is I look at a body. Body tells me stories. When I watch somebody walk, talk, or whatever they do, I see them and I kind of say, that's not the right thing that's happening to them. Then I watch the energy. And as the energy changes in a person's body, it changes into different things. It can be wavy, it can be elongated, and it can change colors even. So my idea is I can pinpoint an area on a person's body by just watching them. And I guess that's the medical intuitive in some people's eyes.
All right, now you're giving me anxiety. I'm feeling like you're like looking at me and you're seeing things. What do you see? Is there anything creepy going on?
That was a loaded question.
I'm like, what is it I need to know?
Well, yeah, there's a couple of things going on. Nothing that a little operation would help.
Okay.
Just kidding. Oh my God. So actually, you're pretty physically fit. I mean, there's a lot of things going on with inside you. So I call you a duck. Okay, you're basically a duck because what happens is that person looks great on the outside. They're physically fit. They have a lot of good energy and everything else. But there's struggles with inside of them, and which causes torments in that. And a lot of it has to do with your stomach and your belly area and digestive system and that. So that's what I look at and say, okay, you need to calm this down. Okay,
Yeah.
calm it down now, buddy.
Yeah, I do. I
know.
get that.
Exactly.
I got to find out. I got
Exactly.
anxious. Yeah.
And what then it turns into a cannonball.
Yeah.
And that cannonball that sets in a lot of people's belly here, that is their anxiousness, is anxiety, their pressure that they have put on their own selves. Because it's also your third chakra, which is your power center. So what happens is now we see it, and I see it in a different color. I see what's happening and everything, torment and everything, turns into darker and darker and becomes a cannonball. Cannonballs are harder to take out. You can't just grab a cannonball and release it. You have to chip away some of it. Like our whole life, who we are, that we're like onions, you know, we have peel off and everything. That's what we have to do with a cannonball. So when you start chipping away at what is causing this anxiety, you can break it up and take it bits and pieces, and then all of a sudden the large chunks will come out.
Yeah. Well, part of my religious context has given me that anxiety, and so now I'm in this process of trying to be like, hey, look, we're all in this together. It's a safe universe. I'm looking for that internal peace, and I think, you know, there's more to come, but that's just this process. Something that really is interesting is the chakras. So that's something I didn't have a lot of experience, having grown up with a tradition that we didn't talk about internal energy. Everything was an external energy that would come into you if you had the indwelling of the spirit or whatever that is.
Absolutely.
So now you're an author. You've written a book. You've written a few books. But specifically the book on energy and the chakras, talk about that.
The 7-year cycle, Chakras, the 7-year cycle, is one of my favorite books because I didn't write it. It one day opened up and started reading some of it, and I was like, where'd this come from?
Yeah.
And it was really amazing. But what it is we have 7-year cycles within our body. Everything kind of has on a 7-year cycle, 9-year cycle, you know, 3-year cycle. We go in these different cycles. Now, the 7-year cycle basically is that from 0 to 7 years old, that our base chakra, which is our tribal instincts, there's our family and everything else, that is developed from 0 to 7. So imagine, you know, when we're born, we have no choice. Mom, dad say, this is the church you're going to go to, this is the belief you're going to believe in, this is what you're going to do, this is the school, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, we are told where to go.
Kind of your identity, more or less?
That's our identity, exactly. It's a kind of red ball within our base chakra. It's in our base area. And it is our passion for family. It's a passion of our identity of who we are.
Kind of tribal.
Absolutely. A tribal instinct.
I belong.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
And then from 7 to 14, we start creating the second chakra. Well, that's our sexuality. It's our creativity now. Now, Dave, what were you doing from 7 years old to 14 years old?
I don't know. I was a kid in school doing school things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But there's an awkward period during that time.
Well, yeah, you grow through puberty. You go through, you know, hey, there's a girl I think is cute. Maybe I should pass her a note, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Creativity, sexuality. Yeah. It's a lot of things are growing in that state, in that mind of from 7 to 14. So that is when it's starting to be developed. Now, we get all the way to 49, you know, which is the top one. It's our creativity of our spirituality. At 49 years old, now we start creating and wondering what's going on in our mind. But actually, it's like 42 to 49. This is when we start opening up in our spirituality. Because what happens is that, because during that time is that we start questioning what it was like a while back. Yeah. So when we start questioning who we were, you know, from 42 to 49, and some people aren't at that age point, but I am, I know, and I remember I was questioning. I questioned my belief systems and everything. Guess what? We get a choice now and a chance now at 49. When we turn 50 years old, we start to redo our base again. We start redoing our timeline of who we are and our chakras and how they open up.
Kind of like redefining who you are as a person?
Absolutely. We do. We get a chance to redefine. Now, it doesn't mean that we actually, you know, we can't do that at an earlier age. We can. And that's the whole part of understanding the 7-year cycle is that, you know, if somebody's in the earlier stages in their heart, and you start thinking about that, it's like, oh, wow, that's kind of cool. You know, I can change how I create this heart, how I treat my throat, how I treat my third eye. And by the time I get up here, I won't have to question anymore. Yeah. 42 is the secret. You know, of the world, you know, number 42. Hitchhiker's Guide to Success.
That's good.
You know, is the secret is number 42.
Yeah.
And that's basically where we're at in the number 42 is realizing who we truly are. Interested in work with a bunch of psychotherapists and social workers that are therapists and that. And age 42 is actually their demographics of where they start seeing people.
Oh, wow.
At the age of 42. There's a large amount of people at age of 42.
Okay, so I can't not ask you about the third chakra and the fourth chakra. So, because I feel like that's an integral part of the energy system. The things I've seen, the chart of the different colored balls of energy.
Right.
This is new to me. Something I wasn't raised with this consciousness.
Right.
It was always something that was like, oh, that's mystical energy. Probably
Absolutely.
you should stay away from that type of thing. So the first chakra is kind of your identity. The second chakra is your creativity, sexuality. Third chakra,
power center. This is where your ego, this is where you start having the strength and power. Now imagine, because that is from 14 to 21 years old, imagine what you were doing. You were now invincible at that age, right?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, we did things that we wouldn't do normally.
High school, college, young adult,
absolutely,
or I was in the military. I could do it, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's our creativity and our power center and that. So that's when we're creating that part of our life, and that is like, wow, can you imagine if from 14 to 21 years old that I'm creating who I am within. Now imagine growing up in a very stuffed society where thumbs are on you constantly, eyes are watching you constantly, that how much is your power center growing then?
Well, you probably don't have any authority because it's been given to other things or other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You lose your authority. You lose it because you no longer are part of anything, basically, because you have no power. You're being told what to do. But imagine if you're allowed to do things in your life and be free in your life, and that from 14 to 21 years old, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm egotistical. I have this. Now, some ego is okay, a little bit. But it's having that power of who you are, the strength to really decide what you want to be from 14 to 21.
Yeah.
Now, it's really interesting is if you do a study of latchkey kids that were given a key to get in the house and whatever else, at the age of 14 to 15 years old and they got to live their own life that way, they seemed to be more put together because they had to make their decisions and they found their own power within them at that age. Instead of having the mom that's home all the time and everything, and it's like, eat your peas, eat this, do this, and everything else and that. And so those are the ones that always are looking for somebody to help them and tell them what to do.
Wow, that's interesting, because I had a mother that was very present in my life. I felt like she gave me the liberty to make my own choices. But she was definitely an authoritarian.
Absolutely.
And this is the way it is.
Right.
But I still feel like I had some independence.
Right.
Maybe that's where I get my entrepreneurial spirit from.
Absolutely.
But there's definitely, I was not allowed just to be a creative free thinker. I had to think, well, you can be creative, but you have to stay within the box of this religious narrative. And so I was like,
absolutely. And for people like myself who, I was a latchkey kid. My parents never knew from the age of 12 where I was at ever.
Oh, wow.
So, we lived in a farmhouse, a farm community and that, and I had the run of the town. I did whatever basically I wanted to do.
Wow.
And so I sometimes take that stance, but yet again, I was a fearful child because I was raised to be fearful. And I had all these rules I had to follow by. So even though that I was allowed to do whatever I want, I still had rules to follow. And these rules are very strict rules or I would have been beaten. Now in a small community in that, anybody can beat you. I mean, that was just the rule of the town. It's like,
so somebody caught you doing something wrong.
Exactly. And by the way, I spanked your kid. Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
It's like, could you imagine nowadays society and that? I spanked your kid. You touched my child,
Well, I grew up in the 80s. I remember going to junior high where hacks were still a thing. And I remember my parents telling me, if you ever get a hack at school, when you get home, you'll get more from me. And I was like, oh, crap. So I never wanted to get in trouble.
Exactly. No, exactly.
Yeah.
That was, we were feared, the police officers would take us home and we never had a police in town but if I went to a bigger town and the police would say, where are you from? I'm from Mount Vernon, South Dakota. It's like, well, who's your parents? And I tell them, it's like, I'm taking you home. And you get home, I got more in trouble. The cops would go, here, he's all yours. Do as you want with him. And I'd beg them to put me in jail.
Yeah, please don't. Maybe my parents.
Exactly, because it's like, no, are you serious? They're going to beat me. Don't take me home. No, son, this is for your best. No, don't put me in jail. Do something to me. So
Good. I don't want to sidetrack on that. So the third chakra is the ego center.
yep, the ego. It's a power center. It's more,
Okay.
it's a little bit of ego. We are forced by ego. Each one of the chakras have a duality to them, the front and the back to them. The base chakra and the crown chakra are the front and the backs because they go up and down. But each other chakras that have a base in the front and the back. Now, we're pushed. Ego pushes us. It filters through the chakra to create what is right and wrong within the society.
Oh.
So as we create this, it's the whole idea of when you ask a question, it's like you think about your wife or whatever else in that. Where do you feel it on your body? What chakra emanates the most when you feel that? We feel things through our chakras. That's why we should live our life through it. It's like we speak from the heart, we talk from the heart, we use the throat chakra to express ourselves, the third eye to see beyond things. And so we go into the heart chakra. Now, before we go there, there's like an invisible line here because there's a diaphragm, okay? Now, Carl Jung, I love Carl Jung.
Yeah.
He said something, I read this a long time ago. So Carl Jung believed that all relationships must be above the diaphragm, never below the diaphragm. We live above the diaphragm for everything. Everything below the diaphragm is man, is desires, wants, whatever else. Everything above the diaphragm is God.
Oh.
And so the idea is that we get in a relationship with anybody, even ourselves, that our relationship must be above the diaphragm. It must be heartfelt, must be able to express ourselves, must see beyond what there is to see. And we must have the same love in that for our higher selves. Okay? So when Carl Jung came up with that, and I started believing that and started thinking, it's like, of course, sexuality and creativity, that dies away. There's not as much as testosterone and everything else in our bodies.
When? I don't know.
Right.
When does it die away, pal?
42 to 50.
I don't know, man. It's not dying away from me. I was like, okay. Sometimes she's like, really? I'm like, I'm sorry.
Wow.
Just saying.
But it is. And the thing is that you have to understand that there is a desire out there that we try to fill our love in that when our heart, our love bucket in our heart feels empty in that, we fill it up with whatever we can. We use the physical form and the spiritual form to fill it up. We try to get as much as we can in there. And that is physically and spiritually formed. So yes, that's why you have the sexual desire and everything else, is that we go through changes that we have to be fed. And we have to be fed in many ways. And the few, it depends on the few that we use in that. And we can use the love that we have for other people to feel that few.
So the fourth chakra is heart?
Heart chakra.
Okay.
Yep. That's either a green or a pink color. Compassion is more pink. Green is more healing. Now, everything should come from the heart. And that's my belief. As a healer and as whatever I do in life, as a medical intuitive and whatever else, everything comes from the heart, whatever you do. Because we speak from the heart, we listen from the heart, and we do from the heart.
So that's like your authenticity? Is that?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
The heart is who we are. Sometimes we put compartments in there, and we have little compartments. Like the Hot Wheels little compartments where you used to have to separate everything. So that's what religion has done to us is made us put little compartments in there. Where now we put this Hot Wheel in here, and you in here. Dave, you're going to be over here. And so we have compartment for everybody. Now, actually, what it should look like is a lunchbox. That has this great big opening for the sandwich. That's for everybody.
Awesome.
And then the little compartments for like our kids and our significant other. So those are the only two compartments we should really have. That everything else should be just wide open. And so we should not compartmentalize anybody else. That everybody should be equal in every way. So.
Yeah, that's always the challenge in a society to realize I'm separate from you and you're separate from me and God's separate from us, and there's all this separation, but really we're all in this together.
Absolutely.
It's all one energetic mass of consciousness. We're all human beings with our individuation, but we're all part of this big divine plan. And if I see the divine in you and you see the divine in me, I'm not going to want to hurt you, you're not going to want to hurt me, and that's why the world needs more love.
Absolutely.
That's what it's about.
And that's what Namaste actually means.
Nice.
I see the master in you, you see the master in me. I see the love in you, you see the love in me. It's the idea that we can go around and tell anybody you love them. Anybody, no matter what, I have this kick, and I really have a hard time with this. I've had a hard time with it ever since I was a little kid, and that was said, "I love you, my friend." Now, I think people use that so that you don't get the wrong feeling.
Walk around and tell somebody you love them.
I love you, my friend.
Yeah.
I love you, David. It's like, I don't care. However you take that love, I don't care.
Yeah.
Our boundaries are who we are, and that's all it is. It's like, I can tell you I love you.
Yeah.
But I also have to, if I'm able to tell you I love you, I also have to tell you no.
Interesting.
So we have to be able to balance that out. If you're able to tell somebody they love you, you also have to be able to tell them no.
Wow. So that you're not depleting whatever you have, so you're still able to hold your container.
Absolutely. It's like, I love you, Dave, but I'm not sleeping with you.
Yeah.
Right? But that's why
Thank you.
Exactly. But that's the whole idea, is that I love you and putting my friend behind it now.
Yeah.
So the person hears that for the first time, and it's like, I love you. And they go home, it's like, I wonder how he loves me. How is it that he loves me? Is there some kind of love? No, Rod loves a lot of people. He always tells everybody he loves everybody that, he loves me in that way, aspect of that. Now, if I grabbed you by the ears and I gave you a big fat kiss and I said, I love you, like that, that's a different love.
You got a different intention behind
Absolutely.
that. All right.
Absolutely. If I give you this big old hug and everything else, then it's like, I love you, my friend.
I love you, man. That's good.
Exactly. And so I've had this issue ever since I was a kid about I love you, my friend. I've always asked people, why is it my friend? I said, why don't you just love me?
Yeah.
It's
like a clarifying statement.
Exactly. And that was actually something I asked my minister one time, because, Jesus would tell people he loved them and everything, and religious, and I really believe that. Why didn't Jesus say, I love you, my friend? Why did he have to clarify everything? And it's like, he had Mary Magdalene, so, everybody knew he's all right.
Yeah.
He just loves everybody.
Yeah.
So
awesome. So heart chakra, love, openness, authenticity, healing.
Yep, absolutely.
And then what's next?
Next is the throat chakra. This thing right here.
So is that your voice, or who you're speaking?
It's how you say things, how you speak. It's that channeling, part of channeling. If you opened up your throat and just spoke what came from your heart, you'd never have to worry about what you said ever again. Could you imagine that? Not going away from a party or something and going, gosh, I shouldn't have said that. I should have never mentioned that. Because you're speaking from your heart. Yeah. And you should never have to worry about what you said then, if you spoke from your heart.
Yeah. There's been too many times where I've said something I shouldn't have said, or somebody feels like I was abrupt or mean, or, because I'm like goal-oriented. Hey, put that here, do this thing. They're like, wow, he didn't tell me thank you. And he was so I have to make sure that I'm effectively communicating when I speak to people.
Absolutely. Dave?
Yeah?
Thank you very much.
Oh, that means a lot to me, Rod.
Exactly.
Thank you for saying that.
I took my time out just to tell you that.
So your throat chakra...
it's part of your channeling, though, because there's this thing called the Bendu that's behind you, actually the mouth of God chakra.
Really?
Yep, that's part of the duality of your throat chakra. This is a sphincter muscle. And the sphincter muscle is like it opens and closes and everything else. It lets good things in and keeps bad things out. So we always make a contract with everything that we try to speak from. So if we're talking on celestial beings or whatever else, and all of a sudden you feel all this pain or pressure from the back of your head, and you feel like bending over and that, and it comes like a headache over your head. Usually what that means is that you have something wants to speak through you.
Wow.
And the sphincter muscle, remember, they don't realize that it's a body and it can be hurt. So a lot of times we have to say, slow down with the information and only allow a bit out of time, because the sphincter muscle can only open up so far to let so much information in. But you also have a contract that you make with everybody around you, and that is that nobody can take over your body, nobody can do this, nobody can cause any problem. Because remember, everything has to be filtered through the heart. So if it comes out the mouth, it has to be filtered from the heart.
Oh, wow. I didn't catch that. So you're saying it has to go through the heart to be able to come out of the mouth.
Absolutely.
You have to feel what you're saying.
The heart is the one in control of this. Yeah. The heart is the one that will control what comes out.
Well, what if you say something mean, like somebody cuts you off in traffic, and you're like, I hate you, hope you wreck. And you're like, I don't really mean that, but I said it. What's that?
That's
me just being a jerk?
I've never done that, so I have no idea what that is.
I feel like if you're in your car, you feel like you can yell at people, but if you were standing close to them, you just said, you wouldn't say anything. You
No.
just kind of stand there. But
You
you
get
put
the-
yourself in a car and you get this road rage thing that comes over.
It's a cone of silence inside there.
That's the thing.
Nobody knows you're angry inside there. No, it's like unless that horn starts going, you know,
Yeah.
then that's the horn, the angry horn.
Well, even at that, I've just learned just to go, you know what? Maybe they're having a bad day. And so I don't currently
Right.
drive around angry or anything
Right,
like
right.
that. But I do realize, you know, somebody cuts me off in traffic. Man, that guy is in a real hurry. It must be important to him. So
Yep.
I've tried to learn not to let those things affect me.
And you know, I'm horrible in traffic. I get impatient with people, and then I start realizing that this person might be heading to the hospital to see her daughter or son that's in the hospital. That my mom might be passing away.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much other things that this person may be going through, and that. So I just send them love,
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yeah.
Just send them love because it doesn't matter what happens. You know, it's just they didn't hurt you.
Yeah.
Just let it go.
And the love comes from the heart chakra.
And the love comes from the heart chakra. It's vibration of love coming out.
It's good.
That what comes out of your mouth, and that usually probably is from the mind, the head.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I've been watching you, and I noticed that you can channel things. You're able to channel things. And it's really interesting is that you talk to you and your wife, and that Gail does. Your wife does a really great job of channeling too. And that I don't think you guys realize that.
I don't realize that at all.
And growing up in a religious background, belief system, and everything else, that was talking with tongues. Remember that?
Yep.
The whole thing,
Yep.
the talk with tongues.
Yep.
Basically, that's what you guys do. Yeah, sometimes you just got to trail off, and you guys go out. Your mind goes somewhere else, and words that come out of your mouth are so heartfelt that they're passion within them. And so I realize that, and I watch you guys do that. That's what opening the throat chakra up is. Now this throat chakra, you can actually feel the gunk in that. If you put your hand by your throat and it's cold, and the area is cold, most likely what's happening is that your throat chakra isn't getting the energy that it needs. Open yourself up and just speak. Your heart knows what's to come out of your mouth or not.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the impetus for this show is just to speak and to learn and
Absolutely.
to grow and to share the content with people. And it's about speaking the truth that I've felt within me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, you can't save everybody.
No, no. Some people are going to be mad no matter what you do.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that happens. One of the biggest questions I get in my classes is that some guy cut him off, some guy was speeding past him, drinking that with 2 children in the back seat.
Oh, God.
What do I do, Rod?
Oh.
You know, do we have special powers that can like stop that? You
Use
know?
the force.
Use the force, and it gives it energy in that. We actually do.
Yeah.
We have a special power. Special powers is our heart. Our heart is able to emanate the beauty out there. Maybe those 2 kids' journey to be going through this. But if we send out love to the man driving and the children in the back seat and say, all the innocent be protected.
Yeah.
You know, that's all we can do right now
Yeah.
at that point. So imagine that in your life and everything you do is if you put that out there, just protect the innocent.
Yeah. That's good. That's really good.
Yep. Remember, people are on their journeys, and when they're on their journey, we can't interrupt them.
Yep.
We can't pull them off or anything else. That's their journey.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people you try to wake up and they're like, I don't want to be woke up. I'm
Absolutely.
sleeping and this is the way I like it.
Absolutely. And you know what? We're going to see a lot of that. And the interesting thing is we're seeing more and more of that. The sleepers, the ones that just want to keep everything the way it was.
Yeah.
You know, and they don't like change. Change is going to be messy here. It was predicted, and it's happening in this right now, is that there's going to be going a lot through divorces. People are waking up and not other person waking up. If one person wakes up in the household and the other people don't, they get left behind.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is then they feel like, oh my gosh, what just happened? You know, so-and-so left. You know, one of my significant other left and they're gone. What did I do wrong? Well, that's their awakening. Then they start awakening, and now they're trying to catch up. And sometimes it's too late to get to that point. But if you work together and you grow together, that's what Carl Jung talks about the diaphragm.
Yeah. That's really good. There's so many people that are waking up with a different idea of how the world is, and they're looking for community. They're looking for a place to belong. And I'm personally glad there's podcasts. The Rod and Cindy podcast is an amazing resource. I recommend people do that. We're going to talk about that before the show ends. It's a great resource for people. There's just so many things out there that we can have a shared community, and we don't have to live in this fear-based construct of whether it was the religion or the political party or the world's going to come to an end and climate change is going to, whatever the fear is. We don't have to live in that. We can live in like, we're all in this together.
Right.
We're all bound together through consciousness and through love, and there's good things ahead, not bad things. And so many times we get framed like, oh, but something bad's going to happen in, you know, whatever arena.
Right.
And I'm just glad that there's resources. I'm glad we have iTunes. I'm glad we have YouTube. I'm glad we have people that put content out there for other people to listen to.
Well, imagine what, you know, even 10 years ago, what it was like. When I was getting back in 10 years ago, I had no idea what was happening to me.
Yeah.
Now we have an idea. We see, oh, that person's having an awakening. But remember, these are their journeys, and that when someone feels like they're struggling, now awakening can be from shaking inside to just like freaking out and, you know, thinking that they need pills to help them out and everything else. That's not their journey. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Because imagine, you know, a butterfly, it's inside of its cocoon. That if we went over there and just opened up their cocoon for them, that they'd fall and
Let me
die.
help you, butterfly.
Exactly, they would die.
So you're helping the butterfly, but you're actually killing the butterfly.
You're killing the butterfly
because it's not done cooking.
Right, because it needs that to stretch its wings and build the muscles up for its wings as it rips open the cocoon.
Yeah.
And as it rips open this cocoon, that's where it gets its strength to be able to fly. And that's what we have to do for people, is we have to give them the strength to fly. We stand there and hold space for them.
Wow, that is really good.
Yep. The third eye, one of the most magnificent things that I ever saw in my whole entire life. Now, I saw this as a child, and I could never understand it, is as a kid, I kept seeing a wolf's eye. I just closed my eye, and there'd be a wolf's eye, and I was like, okay.
Was it like one eye or attached to a wolf? Or just
one eye.
All right.
Just one eye right there. I'm seeing it and going, what is this, you know? And I was like, I couldn't understand it. But I grew up in South Dakota and I had Sioux Indians that were my friends and everything, Native Americans. I love them. And I went and asked a grandpa, and I says, hey, I keep seeing this wolf eye. And he goes, that is your totem animal. I said, my totem animal? He goes, a wolf is your totem animal. And I looked at him and I says, you know, I was chased by wolves as a young kid, and that I climbed up a tree and one of them got a hold of one of my shoes, ripped it. Yeah, it was a really cool story.
Doesn't sound cool. It sounds frightening.
That was very frightening, but it was cool.
Now it's cool.
Now it's cool, yes. I was walking in through, you know, it was like a forest in South Dakota, you know, there's a lot of overbrush and everything else there. And I heard him coming.
Oh, wow.
And you could just hear him coming. It was like, the brush area, there's nothing to climb on because the brush is like only 8 feet tall, you know, and small branches and that. But there was a big oak tree I knew at the end. So I took off, and I could hear him right behind me. And I grabbed a hold, and I started climbing up the tree. And as I climbed up the tree, one wolf jumps up and grabs my shoe and just rips it out off my foot. And it's like, whoa. And I stood up there because they kept circling and everything else. And I just stood there for the longest time. And it was my grandpa actually that came looking for me, and he found me. Now remember, I'm in an area where my parents didn't care if, you know, I was gone from 7 in the morning till 7 at night, as long as I was in the house before it was too dark. You know? And I was fine. But and that was early morning when actually I was chased.
Wow.
I got too close to a den. I found out later. And they just they were not happy. Mm-hmm. So they're saying it's my totem animal.
So you felt like you had a previous experience with it. So you're like,
Absolutely.
okay, that might make a connection.
Absolutely. And so it's like, it's my totem animal. What does that mean? So of course, you know, we had no libraries basically where I'm from. There's no dictionaries, there's no internet, there's no encyclopedias or anything else. And so I tried to do the searching as much as I can by talking to people. And it was the Native Americans and my grandfather that gave me the best information about what a totem animal was. And then I was told that it was like I was seeing, and they called it the seeing. And I was like, well, I don't get that. Is that was my intuitive that was opening up.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't understand that at that point either. And they kind of just left it alone anyway. You know, it's like they would get together and whisper to each other, but not say anything to me.
Wow. So they give you enough information to make you curious.
You made me curious.
Didn't tell you what you were wanting to know.
Absolutely. Absolutely not. But I did notice after that, I was seeing different things. Things were just different at that point. I was already seeing energy, but things were different. So I was like, okay, this is kind of a cool thing. As I got older, I never thought of it again and everything else. Every once in a while, I would see a different animal's eye, and I was like, oh, must be my new totem animal, and I'd laugh about it, right? Never, ever knew what it was. Well, then I started getting back into spirituality, and I started seeing what was going on, and I was like, well, this is kind of cool, you know? I saw these things as a child, and I knew what third eye was now. It was seeing past. It's like dimensional walking or seeing the other side. That I was seeing things. And all of a sudden I started seeing that eye more often and more often. So the best way for me to learn something, I teach it. I love it. So if I want to learn something, I teach it. So I taught how to open your third eye.
Oh, cool.
And it was the coolest class because I did all this searching and I found out how to make a crystal grid and everything else to make this beautiful how to open your third eye. I figured out how to do it. You stare at this box, then you go stare at the crystals, you stare at this little box and you just open your mind up and just allow things to pass through and just see things. Well, it was after I taught the class, like I'd do that all the time anyway. So how cool is that, right? I was like, I already do it. Well, one of my students calls me 2 days later and he goes, hey, Rod. I said, yeah, you okay? He goes, no, I'm in the hospital. So what happened? He says, I made this great big grid, had this great big pointy rock that was in the center of it. He goes, I was staring at it, I passed out, and the rock
my gosh,
cut his forehead open.
What?
Cut his forehead open. And I said, do you want the third eye open? He goes, well, I tried to cut it out.
What?
So I love this guy. He's learned so much, and he's taken every one of my classes, and he's always been there. And that was one of his learning things, is that you try so hard to do things when you realize you just let it be, and it will happen on its own. You don't push things. You don't take drugs to make things happen. And that you just allow things to happen. That you don't take drugs from some stranger in the parking lot or anything else. You just allow things to happen.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So anyway, so then we go into the crown chakra. The crown chakra is one of the best, my favorite chakras, because what happens is this is our awakening of spirituality. This is now a direct connection from here to our higher self, our God, or whatever you want to call it. Now, there's different ways to look at this, is that you can see it as a beam of light going up or a beam of light coming down. And it really depends on how you see it. Now, if you're looking at it as a celestial being, we are getting information from up there and bringing it back down. If we're seeing it as just a human being, we're bringing information down into us and we're letting it be to us. Does that make sense?
Kinda.
As a celestial being, we go get the energy.
Okay.
As a human being, we allow it to come to us.
Okay, so with the religious narrative, I was taught I was born here from my two parents, and that's when I started to exist. As I began to study near-death experiences and learn more about consciousness and the universe, I found out that most likely we're a spiritual being having a human experience.
Absolutely.
And that's what I've adopted and embraced. I'm like, oh, so I've always been here. I'll always be here. It's hard to tell, though, because all I have is this current experience that I have a memory of.
Right. Well, we get only short-term memory of this because we're supposed to be focused on this experience only to learn. But you feel we're never going to leave?
No, I think there's other things that are going to happen in this long, eternal, endless journey.
Right.
That's the way I now feel. But a few years ago, I was like, yep, no, you're born, you die, and then the judgment, and that's it. You either go to heaven or hell. That's the whole narrative.
Right.
And that's why I was really frustrated and sad all the time. I'm like, really? Is this really all it is? It's just, this is it? It's just, I didn't like that. And as I begin to understand and expand in consciousness, I'm like, oh, there's a bigger thing going on here.
Absolutely.
Way bigger. It's not just this ego-based, appease the divine and, try to make God happy and then you'll be happy because that's the only way you'll be happy if God's happy. And I'm like, I just found that there's a lot bigger connectivity.
Right, exactly. That power center, that part that I was saying is that's their ego base. That if everything was just that and power and that, oh my gosh, we would be stuck here forever.
Yeah.
Because we'd never be growing.
Yeah.
And now that we are growing, and we are going upwards. You know, the crown chakra opens up. Now they talk about, a lot of different people talk about the crown chakra, how it opens. Okay, some people see it as like on top of a football stadium, and it kind of just slides back, or it opens up this way, like a lotus flower and that. It doesn't matter how it opens as long as you just sit there and imagine open and allow light to come in. I remember a guru that I was taking a class from a long time ago. He looks at me and he says, "Why does everybody want to go back up there? That's where we came from." And it's like, oh, yeah, that's where everybody wants to go. It's like, oh, please take me home, you know, take me away. And that. We're sent here for a reason.
So good.
We're sent here for a reason. We have to stay here. We have to finish our job. We have a job here to do. And we can't go home until we're done with our job. Because you can't quit in the middle of it. You know?
Now, you told me that you had a near-death experience.
Absolutely.
And you were enjoying the love and the tranquility and the peace and the joy, and then you saw some loved ones.
Right,
What were they saying to you?
Go back, go back. You're not ready yet. Go back. And I'm like, why? I haven't seen you guys in a long time.
This is amazing.
Exactly. You know, you feel love. There's nothing hurts. You just feel so great, and you just feel so passionate about everything. And you see them, and you're like, all you want to do is embrace them and love them. And they're all saying, go back, run back, you know. I still don't understand. It was like a Little House on the Prairie scene, you know. That's, you know, where they're running through the fields and that. It's like, why? You know? No, that's
it was just whatever the construct was. But
it was.
You were there.
I pictured it. That. Exactly. But it was an eyeball type effect, and I didn't really feel like I got pulled back. You know, it was interesting. Is I just felt like it just started getting further and further away. Like they were pulled back. I wasn't pulled back. So it was interesting. But a lot of people say, you know, that they get back from their near-death experience and that and their life's changed, everything's different in their life and everything else. Now, no, it wasn't like that for me. The only thing I got out of it is I'm not scared of dying anymore.
Oh, that's good.
You know, there's nothing, and if that is a huge part in my life that I was scared of dying, I mean, that must have triggered something but I'm still the same person, who I have always been.
The study in near-death experiences is what set me free from the fear of a one-and-done life experience. Everyone that has these incredible experiences, they feel connection, they feel love, and they realize, oh, that was my home. I came here for something. And that's what this is. This is where the action is. It's right here. You know, when you listen to a religious narrative that tells you it's about getting from here, out of here, get to there, you know, get on the glory bus or the rapture bus, or, you know, can't wait till the Lord comes with his angels and sweet chariot, take me home, get me out of here, you know. But this is where the action is.
Absolutely.
And you know, the heaven and hell paradigm, that's the reality that you've created around your life and your circumstances, your mind, your fear. This is, so I am trying to move forward and go, I want heaven here. I want peace. I want love. I want joy. I want it now. Because on the other side, it's already, that's the reality of everything here. I get to create that now.
Oh, absolutely. Could you imagine if we had a life where we could do whatever we wanted to do and would not feel bad about it? That's one of the biggest things about who we are and why we can't live in heaven here is we feel bad about things. We get offended about things. We're going to offend somebody. We feel that's the whole thing. It's like if I just could do whatever I wanted and nobody cared I cared about what they thought of me. Oh my gosh, that'd be heaven. I could just be walking around with shirtless or whatever else and going, hey, it's me, I'm Rod.
Because there wouldn't be any shame.
No,
you wouldn't have any guilt.
Absolutely not.
And those are the two big things that kill people, shame and guilt.
And they reside in the lower chakras. You know, shame and guilt reside in the lower chakras.
And then the ego, I'm not loved. I have a lack of love.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when the reality is you are pure love. That's the actual reality of who you are as an entity. So
you cut yourself off at the diaphragm, you live heaven. Hell is below the diaphragm. Even though we think that is part of our passion and desires and everything else and that. Well, passion and desires will come with a ticket, I guess, you know, that you have to pay back. You know, there's something you have to pay back. Up here, there's nothing. You know, it's loving everybody. It's saying what you want to say. It's feeling what you want to feel and that. You know, my grandma, I love her to death because as she got older, after my grandfather passed away, she decided she was going to say whatever she wanted. She didn't care.
That's good.
They put her in a nursing home, and when they put her in the nursing home, that was her ticket. You know what? you don't care about me. I'm going to say whatever I want, and I'm going to tell you how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw my grandma do this, my mom and I walked in there, and she looks at my mom. She says, "You're getting fat."
Oh God.
Looking at my grandma's like, "Well, that's odd. Odd thing my grandma
Nice
to say
tact.
that." Exactly.
Yeah.
And that. Did you bring me anything? Really? This is my loving grandma and everything else. But she did. The tact was gone. The whole idea is that there's no respect for anything, no respect for her, because she didn't care.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't that she was trying to hurt anybody. It's just what she wanted to say.
Yeah.
But it was coming out wrong because she didn't know how to say it, how words are supposed to be.
Yeah.
She still wasn't talking from her heart. And so my feeling was something I'm still working on is whatever comes out of my mouth is from my heart. I'm okay.
Trying to be authentic with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To be so authentic about it. So that someone can tell the difference between a passion that a person has or they just know what they're talking about. There's so much different. You sit in the classroom and you hear the passion coming out of somebody, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I love this. I'm going to listen to it and everything else." You're drawn to that passion. You listen to somebody that talks about the molecular structure of blah 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 blah, and it's like he just knows the mechanics of it. I can't stand to sit in a classroom like that.
Yeah.
I have to have somebody that's passionate about it, that lives their life that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Living your passion.
Absolutely.
Now, you've been a healer. You've been working in the healing world. You're very sensitive to energy. You have a podcast called the Rod and Cindy Podcast.
Absolutely.
And it's phenomenal. It's a great resource. What's the impetus of why is it that you decided to start a podcast?
That's interesting is that the masses, it's really interesting is I have a good following. I love all the clients and my clientele. I wanted to get out there more. I wanted more people to hear who we are. And I wanted to, us to share experiences. Kind of like you searching that, is that there's other people like us out there. And I wanted to keep it fun and uplifting, So we have fun with what we talk about. So we talk about, a lot past life stuff. We talk about Mary Magdalene, Jesus. We talk about a whole bunch of different things that are interest to me, but I share with everybody else. And it's all passion-based. I want every one of our podcasts to have a passion about it. And everybody that's on my podcast, or on Cindy's my podcast, has a passion about what they do. It's passion-based of their work. So having a podcast, I get it out there for more, and more people can be whoever they want to be.
Yeah. I feel like there's been this great, swift consciousness moving forward in recent years, and I don't know if it was 2012 and the end of the Mayan calendar or what the reason is, but I just think more and more people are waking up. I think the internet is really important and part of that. Technology's made it where we now have resources. You can pick up and go, Siri, what year was, when did the Wright brothers first fly? And she'll tell you everything you ever need to know. So technology's made it to where we're now in this global community rather than our individual little city or town or even collective in our nation. So people are looking for resources. They're looking for connection. More than ever, people are realizing we're all in this together, and people are looking for resources. They're looking for content.
Absolutely.
And I know for myself, I was able to change a fear-based construct when I got some new information. Somebody somewhere said something about something,
right.
And I had to get on and Google, well, what happens after we die? I learned about near-death
Absolutely.
experience. I had to read Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God, and I went, wow, there's a lot of things going on here. And I just read books. Rob Bell, I read, Pete Rollins, and I read Julie Ferrota talking about hell and how it was a construct, and I was like, wow, there's so many good things here, and it allowed me to move forward in consciousness. Right. So you've got a life of study. Have you put together a path of consciousness for yourself to where you're like, oh, it's really easy. First I did this, then I did that. Or have you been like pinball jumping from side to side? Because that's kind of what I've found myself doing.
Well, good luck. That's how it is.
Yeah.
There's no straight path to this. So
3 easy steps to enlightenment.
3 easy steps to enlightenment is like, forget it.
Maybe if you come out of that I'll buy it.
Exactly. There you go. Exactly. So here's your 3 easy steps I'll give you right now. That is be in your now. Listen to the universe. Listen to the universe.
Yeah.
Got to understand is that our path's already been picked for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
We struggle. We fight our paths constantly. It's like, nope. I got to do this. I got to make money. I got to do blah, 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 blah. And your path keeps going, no, Dave, you got to try this. You got to try this. You got to try this.
Okay.
And why are we trying things? Because we are meeting different people. And we need to be in those people's lives at a certain time and everything else because that's who we are.
Yeah.
Now, our now, stay in our now, is if we lived in our now and constantly lived in our now, we would never have to worry about a thing.
Oh, that's so good because I get so stressed out about what's already happened in the past, and I get stressed about it. Well, what could happen in the future? And I can't control any of that. What's already happened, I can't control. I can't control tomorrow. It's promised to no one. It's right here.
It's right now.
Being here now.
Absolutely. So, I mean, what makes a good conversation is staying in your now.
Yeah.
Because not thinking about what you're going to ask next. So that's a part of that. We get out of our head, let the heart speak. And we stay in our now because whatever comes out of our mouth is supposed to come out of our mouth.
That's good.
And that's what I like. I don't swear. I don't do anything like that because I think that's part of my whole bringing up system is that I couldn't swear. I mean, you're not supposed to swear. Swear is bad energy. And so I actually studied on what swearing meant, what the F word actually meant. And it's really interesting. If you look it up, it's weird.
Well, you gotta share it now.
Oh, really? Fornication under the central king. So that's what it actually stood for.
Really?
Yep, fornication. So it was actually a law about fornication. So that's what the word means, constructed from and everything.
Yeah. Huh.
So I studied that and I was like, okay, why are we using it as an adjective?
Huh.
You know, this is a law that was put into place. You know, I was like, wow, why aren't we saying stop sign instead? You know.
It doesn't have the same vulgarity and the same impact, Rod.
Absolutely. It's like, stop sign, fudge sickle, you know?
Yeah.
You know, there's for me, words are passion in a different ways than that. And it's not always the word what it means, it's the passion behind it. And maybe some people have to use that word to find their passion. Yeah. And that's the part of it.
Well, I grew up as a Christian kid, so we had codes for how to cuss.
Right.
Yeah, so, freaking and all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, or you could say F-U-G-G, you fugger, because it sounded like it was a bad word, but it technically wasn't. So you can, slide under the wire.
Absolutely.
So I was a master of that when I was a kid.
We had a swear soap.
Oh, no. Did you have your mouth washed out?
Yes, it was lava soap. It was actually the lava. And my mom wouldn't just... Because you're going like this, as you shove it in your mouth, she'd scrape it on your teeth. So for the longest time, when somebody would swear, I would taste that lava. It was just like, so I was built in my system that, oh my gosh, this is horrible. That I got my mom back though, because I got it for damn. I said damn a lot. Yeah. And my mom's like, no, that is such a horrible swear word. Yeah. H-E-W hockey sticks is okay to say, but damn was not. Yeah. And so it took mom, one of my nephews got married in Vegas. So mom flew from South Dakota here and we drove her to Vegas and you have to go over this huge dam. Yeah. There's a damn dog on there. There's a damn truck. There's damn people on there. There's a damn house. There's all these damn things on there. And my mom, you could just see her going, it's like, Mom, hey.
Just say it. That's what it's
just saying, exactly.
So I like that you have that religious tradition. I personally like it because I'm like, oh, good. So you grew up and you had a little religious tradition you grew out of, and now you understand.
Absolutely.
But you grew out of it when you were a kid. I had to wait till I was 45 to remember, like, what's going on? What really? Is this what it's all about?
Well, and I think it was my father that actually grew us out of it. It was my father got a bill in the mail. After he worked so hard that we got a 2-week vacation, and I'll never forget this. So we missed like 3 Sundays in a row to church. We got back, and Dad went and got the mail. He came back, and he was angry. He was so angry because he had a bill from the church because he missed paying his TAF.
Oh, the tithe from the church?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So the church sent him a bill to pay tithe. He got a bill
to pay tithe.
Whoa, that's pretty bold.
My father was so upset about it. Of course, my mom's trying to calm him down and everything else. And he says, you go pay it then. Oh, he goes, you don't have a job, taking in some tomatoes or something like that. That's how angry he was about this. It's like, can't pay. We called it was a TAF back there too, that we called it Tides of TAF. And my father says, I'm not doing it, because it was 30% of his next check basically that was going to go out to that. And to be honest, my father worked really hard and everything else. Each one of his 2-week paychecks were $380. I'll never forget that. Yeah. And so we lived on $380, every 2 weeks, and that was a lot of money to us back then. Yeah. But my dad says, I'm not doing this. He says, I'm never going back there. He says, I've done so much work for them. I shovel their sidewalks. I repair the roof. I go and do the plumbing. I'm always on call there. I usher people in and everything else, and this is how they repay me. Wow. And it was actually a past due note, and there was actually a threatening letter. And that's my father took it as a threatening letter. Yeah. Why would a church threaten me? And that's what my father was done. Wow. And when my father was done, I started looking at this, and I started thinking about all this, how I was treated in that church. All these questions I had and everything else that I never got answered. Yeah. All these different things that how I was treated, I slowly went away from it. But then I was so curious. That's why I went off to be a minister. I wanted to be a minister because I wanted to find out if there's a better way of running the church, because I still believed in the community part of it. But guess what? There's rules. There's things you can't say. There's questions you can't ask, even in that aspect. So, I get where my father came from.
Yeah, you're given a box of rules and said, if you do everything, all the rules, then you're good, you're accepted, and you're fine. If you don't, then somebody somewhere has to pay for that sin, whether it was you or Jesus. Somebody's got to pay.
Somebody's got to pay for that sin, exactly. It's like, we're gonna, your father's sins, your father's sins, you have to pay for all those. And I know that my father's father was not a church man. He was a farmer and always worked all the time. Yeah. And I know that. He died at a very young age, and I never got to meet him. But I know that that's how it was. So according to our church, was that my father's father was a sinner. And so, because he didn't go to church. Yeah. Now, my daughter got me at the age of 18, and I really love this part, because my kids, I gave them the choice of being whatever they try. And I know all my kids went out and tried different churches and tried different religions and everything else, just to see what it was like. They wanted to try it and wanted to see where it was at. My daughter came, and she's 17 years old, and she says, hey, Dad, I want a tattoo. Oh, heavens no, you don't get no tattoo. Oh, no, not at 17. No way. I said, no, that will never happen, right? She says, Dad, my body's my temple. It says that in the Bible. My body's my temple. I want to add some beautiful artwork to this body, this temple. I want to show it to the higher self of my God. All right, I'll take you. You can't argue with that. That was a really good argument. I was like, all right.
And then she came back with a skull with a snake coming out of it.
It was this beautiful butterfly that she wanted and everything. So we picked it out together. She said, I said, that's the only way. Well, I'll let you have a tattoo. So we picked it out.
Yeah, my oldest child, when he was 17, he wanted a tattoo. And at the time, I was like, no, you can't have a tattoo. And he says, well, then when I'm 18, I'm going to cover my body head to toe in a tattoo. I said, okay. What kind of tattoo do you want? What kind of tattoo? He's like, well, I was thinking about a cross with Philippians 4:13. I'm like, hey, that appeals to my religious sense. Okay, I can do all things through Christ. That just fit really well into my religious box. I'm like, okay. So when he was 17, we got him a tattoo we put right here. He keep it covered up, and he was proud that he had a tattoo. And then when he was 18, he did get a lot more tattoos. But that's his journey. And you know what? I'm not mad at him for
that. My daughter, she's going to be 31 now, and she regrets a couple of the tattoos that she's gotten since then.
Well, I think that's a common theme with people. It is,
absolutely. That's why you have to wait till you're 18 to get a tattoo, because you do regret a few of that.
Rod, I want to make sure people get an opportunity to hear more content on your podcasts. I feel like this conversation could just go on and on and on. We could keep going. You've got a delightful co-host in Cindy. She spells her name Cyndee. So if you're doing a search for it, make sure you use that for the spelling. When you guys talk together, you're having conversation, you're sharing stories, you get an opportunity to hear more of Rod and Rod's stories. And then what he's doing currently, it's not about the past. And I always like to kind of dig a little bit and do some mining and find out what's under that surface. But Is there something that you're themed around? Is it themed around spirituality?
Spirituality, yeah. That's the spirituality podcast.
So you cover a wide range of topics. Awesome.
Absolutely. I think we're at like 24 different episodes right now, and it's like an hour class, basically, just sit and listen to.
Yeah. When this was recorded, maybe somebody's hearing this in the future, and it will be 1,000 by then.
It could be, absolutely. Absolutely. It could be 1,000 by then.
Yeah.
So we don't know. It's like we just love doing what we do, and that we're advertising a little more to get it out there. So we're looking for sponsorships and everything else that people that want to sponsor it.
Yeah.
And I know you guys sponsored the last one, which was a really great podcast.
Yeah, it was fun. We got a chance to be on, and here's the fun part. We're going to actually film another episode of Exploring the Human Journey. We're going to have Rod and Cindy, and Sweet Lady Gail is going to be on with us too.
Yay!
And so we're going to do something in the future. So if this is your first episode, you'll get to see something in the future. Yep. If this is you've already been there, done that, and seen it, well, hope you enjoyed it. So, Rod, I always like the guest to end with something that you've learned that you would like to share with someone that you've just met for the first time. What would that be?
Don't eat carameled onions.
Don't eat caramel onions.
So just be yourself. Just whatever comes out of your heart, speak it. And don't be scared what comes out of your mouth. And don't be scared of yourself.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Rod, you're the best, man. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Absolutely, David.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. You're awesome.
I'm David Marsh, and you've been watching Exploring the Human Journey on YouTube as a video and listening as a podcast. If you would like to help continue the conversation, please consider supporting us by visiting patreon.com, where you can support us on a monthly basis and get extra bonus content. For as little as $1 a month, you can make this show sustainable and help continue spiritual consciousness. You can also help by following us on Facebook and Instagram. For more information about the show, find us online at exploringthehumanjourney.com.